My name is Peter McCracken, and I'm the creator of ShipIndex.org. During the day, I'm a librarian at one of the largest academic libraries in the country. I combined my library skills and my maritime history knowledge to create ShipIndex.org. The goal of ShipIndex.org is to make maritime history research easier to do, particularly when searching for ships. Through these videos, I'll show you how to do maritime history research and how to do vessel research, not just through using ShipIndex.org, but also through using resources available at libraries or on the web or in books. I hope these make maritime history research easier for you. Let's dive in. Why do vessel research? If you're a genealogist, you might want to add leaves to the tree, as they say. Perhaps you want to find an image of the vessel that your grandparents sailed on their honeymoon. Or maybe you want to learn a lot more about an ancestor. Perhaps you know what ships an ancestor served on in the Navy, but you don't know what happened to him when he was on board. Through ShipIndex.org, you can discover histories of those vessels, and then you know what happened to your ancestor while he was on board. Perhaps you have a mention of an ancestor emigrating on a specific vessel at a specific time, but you're not sure if that's correct. You can seek out passenger and crew lists on ShipIndex.org to confirm or correct your records. So let's start with the ShipIndex.org database. In a sense, there are two versions of the database, the free database and the subscription database. Let's start with the free one. The free database contains over 150,000 citations from many classic works in maritime history, along with authority records from WorldCat, a topic we'll discuss in future videos. The database tells you which books, magazines, websites, databases, etc. mention the ships you're researching. If the book can be found in HathiTrust or in Google Books, then we include a link directly to the page that mentions your ship. In these cases, the page number is a hyperlink to that page. So here's an example of searching the free database. I'm going to search for Monongahela, and we'll see what we can find. Now you can see that there are a lot of citations in the subscription database, but there's still plenty of useful stuff in the free database as well. This page here shows a list of citations that we have not yet associated with a specific hull. So for example, there is a Monongahela mentioned on page 86 of David Hollett's Passage to the New World, Packet Ships and Irish Famine Immigrants, 1845 to 1851. It was published in Great Britain in 1995, and we can use this Find in a Library link to discover what libraries near us own a copy of this book. Also, we can see that there's a Monongahela, a Philadelphia packet from the 1830s, in Fairbairn's Merchant Sale of Volume 2, page 1118. Now, Fairbairn published a series of 6 or 7 volumes, and the last volume is an index to all of the first parts of it. And he just mailed it to libraries across the country, so you will find it in many libraries all across the country. So here's an example from Starbuck, A History of the American Whale Fishery from its earliest inception to the year 1876. This was published before 1964, but the citation here is to a reprint. But there's a link here to page 468, which is available in HathiTrust, and we can see the full page here. This was the 1870s report that Starbuck wrote about whaling in the United States. And down here at the bottom, we can see Monongahela. Here's the captain and the owner, so you know you can find this information and get directly to the page just like that whenever that's possible. I'm going to scroll to the top, and I want to show you that you can also limit this to illustrations and to main entries. And if we scroll down a little bit, we can find more citations that have illustrations in them. For example, Lincoln Payne's book, Ships of the World, an Historical Encyclopedia, has both an illustration and a main entry about USS Monongahela. If I click on About this resource, I can find that the page numbers indicate main entries, the page numbers in bold indicate main entries, and those in italics refer to illustrations. So that can be very useful if you want to just request a single page or two from a particular resource. Now I'd like to go back up and clear the filter, and I'd like to talk about these cards here at the top. Of course, there are many different ships with the same name. Now when we can connect a citation in a book to a specific hull, that is, say, the specific USS Monongahela that was a Kennebec-class oiler, Then we associate those citations with a record for that hull. We use Wikidata identifiers to differentiate between these hulls, and I'll discuss these identifiers and why they matter in a different video. So there's no need to register in any way to use the free part of the database. You might want to create an account even if you're not subscribing, because you might want to be notified when new content is added for a ship name that's important to you. Maybe you have access to the database through a library or a museum where you're not paying for a subscription, and instead the institution is providing it for you. Now, let's consider the subscription database. So I've just logged in, and you can see we have many more citations than we had in the free database. There are over 3.2 million citations in the full database. All of the content that has been added in the past 14 years, except for WorldCat Authority records, has gone into the subscription database. And subscribing to the database is cheap. The prices are listed right there on the homepage. They come to $6 for 2 weeks of access, up to $65 for a year of access, or $8 for monthly renewing access until you cancel. Now I've repeated my search. Let's just do the search again here for Monongahela, and we see many other results here. Now we can read all of the citations. And when the citation goes to an online database, you'll find a link to that entry or to that database. So, for example, let's find one. Let's see if we can find here. Here's Monongahela in Sandstrom's Sailing Ships Vessel Database. This link shows a bit more information. This Monongahela was a ship that also had the name Balasore. It's entered under Balasore here. And there are mentions for a couple of books in Swedish as well. Now, when I go back to the database, a bit further down, we find one of my favorite links. First, note that we have corrected the spelling of the ship name here. The source database has it wrong. They spell it Monongahela, but it is actually Monongahela. But we can still search by that wrong name if we want, because it's still in the citation. When I click on this link, you'll see I go to a website hosted by the University of Washington, and it brings back this fantastic image of the Monongahela being towed out of Lake Washington, or out of a part of Lake Washington, as the Aurora Bridge is being as approaching completion in Seattle. If you look closely, I believe that's the Fremont Bridge right back there as well. So, going back to the database. We can also take a look at, for example, the Dictionary of American Naval Fighting Ships. And this one is an example of a citation where you could help me make the database better. You can see that this refers to the Monongahela, the first USS Monongahela, the one that was a screw sloop of war. And so one can click on Report an Error and add information about which Wikidata vessel it should be added to, connected with, or note other information as well. As I did with the free database, I can limit my search by illustrations, by passenger and crew lists, or by main entries. Now, the last thing I want to point out in this video is that there are many more citations to explore. This search is only showing the ships that have the name Monongahela, but if we click on See Other Matching Ships, we'll find a lot more. Of course, here is the Monongahela that we were just looking at, but also here's Monongahela Farmer. We were only searching for Monongahela. We weren't searching for Monongahela Farmer. And if we look here, we'll find some information about Monongahela Farmer from American Neptune in a particular issue there. Okay. Also, we find Balasore here. Now, that's the vessel we saw earlier mentioned, where it changed its name later to Monongahela. And so in here, we see the mention of Monongahela in the citation. And even we find Soulmate. And so if I go to the Soulmate page and I search for the Monongahela, I find a recreational boat named Soulmate that sails from the town of Monongahela, Pennsylvania. And that's why the results came back. Other videos describe exactly how to use the resources that you uncover in this database, how to do much more advanced searches, and lots more. If there's more information you'd like to learn about how to use the database, please mention it below and subscribe to be notified when new videos are posted. Thanks for your time.